as we ascend higher, or hopefully that's the idea, is that that's what's happening with you. Some have had strange things happen to them. I haven't had really too many as far as like weird premonition type stuff, or you know, mental abilities or anything like that. I mean, a couple things here and there, but nothing that's been consistent. Although there are ways of thinking and ways of processing stuff that I didn't before. You know, it's nothing too really out there that I could explain. But there is something that kind of always happens. It's been happening, I don't know, more so the last couple of years, where I'll go to react to something and I'll get like this really weird feeling, like something's supposed to happen, like right before you sneeze or right before you yawn. There's like some kind of natural thing that just kicks in and your body takes over and it does this thing. Well, I've been having this feeling that when exposed to certain things, or when I react to certain things, it's almost like for a split second, this sort of weird kind of fight or flight thing will pop up, and then as quick as it pops up, it goes away. Like it's sort of unresolved, is that right? Yeah, whatever. Like my body's about to do something it forgot how to do, or I'm about to react to something in a way that I forgot, and I'll like almost start to go into that, and then nothing will happen, and I'll be like, what was I just gonna do? It's like a part of, you know, like it's yawning or sneezing or something. That's the only two things I can think of right now, but something you do naturally that you always do, that you just know how to do. But it's beyond that. It's not like a physical thing even. It's like, this is where and then nothing. And the more often it happens, the longer I spend anyway in that time. Now we're talking fractions of a second, you know. So it's something you only perceive afterward. But those times where I'm in that thing, where it's like the fight or flight thing, like something's supposed to happen, like an arm was supposed to come out of my back or something, you know, like but you know, like our arms have been taken off our back, you know, something like that. Like, or like, you know, you see a bird coming at you, you know, usually your back arm would swing out and hit that bird, you know, and you almost like go into doing it where the deployment of the back arm, but the back arm isn't there. So then nothing happens. That's how it feels. Like, that's the best way I can describe it, and I don't think that's a very good description, but I think if you can get what I'm saying, it's like something we can do that we no longer have access to be able to do, you know, that kicks in response to whatever it is we're responding to, you know. I don't know how long that had been going on. Like, it must have happened a lot more before I got to the point where I started noticing that it was a thing, like that it was a thing that was happening, because it's so subtle, you know. It's so subtle, and like, but that's the best I can describe it. And I wonder if anybody else, I haven't run into anyone else that describes this, but I mean, you can't really describe it. That's the problem with a lot of this stuff. A lot of this stuff that happens as you try to awaken or spread your consciousness out or understand more of what's around you. A lot of the changes and a lot of the stuff that happens with you, that's the most substantial. So I tried to cross substantial with substantial on the fucking train wreck. The important things that happen to you are things that are inside you. Like, you can't articulate them. And yeah, the cynical side of me says, well, that's by design. It's another limiter. It's another governor. Could be. I don't know. But one thing, the idea that I hear a lot about, and I've read a lot about, is that the things we do, or that we can do when we're in our... Well, I know this is... didn't have to read about this. I know this is fucking... I believe this to be true. In our regular form, which is 5D light, we can do basically anything. We're like a perfect sort of ball of light type thing, and that's what we are. We can move around and we kind of think of things, and we can bring things to us in that way. So here, when we're in this 3D area, where we only have a very small band of frequency, you know, you have things like arms and legs to reach stuff because you can't normally bring them to you with your mind like you would, you know? So these like appendages are just, they're almost like you know, the physical realm here version of, I want that thing over by me. When in your true form, from what I believe and understand, is that you can just bring things to you. You could build buildings in your mind. And I think the evidence of that is all around us, you know. But that's a whole nother subject. Either way, these would seem like fantastical superpowers to most people. Abilities, like crazy abilities. And eventually they will start, these things will start coming through, because whatever limiter or governor they have on these bodies, they can't, these bodies aren't made to contain us. Everyone's always like how I make these segues into like things. Everyone's always like, I just make this perfect straw man that's there for my fucking, for my answer. No, but people always get obsessed with aging and getting old, and your body breaking down, and why does it happen? What happens because it can't, this thing can't contain what you are. This body can't, it runs it down. That's why the body falls apart, because it can't contain you. Only for like, and the longer it's in there, the more degraded it becomes, because it's so much power. You know, these human suits can't hold it, and that's why people get old and they age, and that's what it is. You can always get a science boy to tell you, well, the atoms in the air. I can't even do a good fake science boy right now. My brain's just a little shot. Usually I can do science boy pretty good. I haven't had nearly enough caffeine since I woke up, but they'll tell you some bullshit. And the bullshit is always millions and billions and billions and billions and millions and millions, and it's just so large and so out there that you just imagine some guy at MIT with the chalkboard, and you're like, all right, he's got it figured out. I guess if he's got it figured out, I'll just think about dumb shit instead. And then that's, you know, problem solved. You know, they've solved the problem of you thinking about that stuff. But yeah, so as you raise your vibrational frequency, get more into line with what you are, and I think the end move to me has always been, we fucking vibrate right out of here, like this whole place. We just bloop, just out of here. Once we reach critical mass, you know, as far as in reaching critical mass, it's just awareness. It's like if you have people that are aware that that's the way it is, that's all that has to be. Just awareness. You don't have to do anything. You know, as long as you're aware of it, you don't have to even believe it, or, you know, assimilate it into your beliefs or your ideas, or convince yourself of anything. Just by hearing it, you know, just by hearing it, you know it. It triggers that little thing in your brain, you know, and you, whether you're a blue pill normie or not, something about it is going to stick in your head, because you're remembering. You know, you have the information anyway. There's not many blue pill normies, though, that I think I've talked about this before, so it's settled science, but I don't think there's that many blue pill normies that are going to make the leap at this point. I think everybody that was going to stay off the ship is already on the dock. You know what I mean? We're those of us here, like, are on the dock and everybody else has already gotten on the ship, you know, the crazy ship, and they sailed off. And it's sad because a lot of those people are your friends and family. You know, in a lot of cases, you're probably the only one, you know, that understands this shit. You know, it's usually how it goes. And you gotta let them go. You gotta let them go. Any trying to convince them, right, is only gonna hurt you. It's only gonna bring you more pain. That's it. You gotta let them go. You know, it's sad, but if it makes you feel any better, they weren't real to begin with. They were, you know, I mean, in my opinion, you know. Yeah. It's a weird thing, you know, it's a hard thing, and I know some people won't go along with that, you know, and there's always those, like, you know, my friend Scarlet Spider, he's always like, you could still save everyone, and maybe he's right, you know, it would be cool if he was, but I have to go by experience and what I've seen, and law of averages and all that other kind of stuff, which tells me something different. But I mean, yeah, shit, if you can save someone that you think you can, then do it. I mean, of course, I'm not saying, you know, kick the fingers off the wall. If you can save somebody, save them. But just be aware. Be aware of what you're doing. You know, you don't always get the Darth Vader ending. You know, you sometimes get the fucking drowning man ending, where you get pulled under, and now you're drowning. If you've ever been in the mental health, I was going to say field, but it's really an industry. If you've ever been involved in it as a patient, you have no doubt have noticed by now that when they do those quarterly questionnaires, they always pull out on you, like every, you know, 4 months they'll take this like 2 or 3 page thing out, and you gotta just run through them about changes in your you know, illness, your behavior, or your symptoms. These are different from the ones they send to your house. The ones they send you to your house, if you're getting some sort of government assistance, which I don't. But if you do, I used to get food stamps and money and all this other shit. So they send you these things, and they're like a version of the questionnaire, you know, which I would even then have someone else fill out, because all I did is just lay in bed and like fucking and ponder the cave wall, as is the preferred treatment for someone like me at that point. So what these things do is they basically say, hey, have you symptoms increased? Do you think this or that? One of the last questions that are always on these things still, and I usually make light of it, and the you know, the clinician or whoever just is like, yeah, well, you never know, some people, it always asks, do you feel you have superpowers or developed it's like, do you feel you have or have developed superpowers? Things to think, what the fuck? And like I said, I'd asked them about it, like, what is this stuff about? Oh yeah, you know, people, you know, the crazy people or whatever, you know. That's bullshit. That's a very specific question, and you get it every 4 months, because these clinicians and these people working in the field, they don't know it. I'm sure they don't know it, because I've never encountered anyone that seems aware of it. They're like gatekeepers. They're gatekeeping you from seeing outside, from seeing beyond the cave wall, right? And if you go off script with what you're talking about, which then can let people around you know you're not looking at the cave wall anymore. If you go off script, they give you a script to get back on script, to get you to stop talking crazy or thinking about anything. And the way they do this is they numb you out with all this, they're all just different strengths of sleep medicine. That's all it is. Like, you have this for that, but that'll keep you in bed. Sometimes they try to let tourists go and then they stop. Um, you know, that's all it is. They just want you to stop moving and stop talking. If you're laying in bed quietly, you're a success. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not like giving medical advice. This has been my experience because I lived it. So fuck you. You know, I know this. I know more about. I sit and talk to a doctor about these medications, right? And they're talking about upping dosages, or you know, maybe we should go down on this. It's like, how the fuck would you know? You've never had this shit in your system. You have no idea what it's doing. This is all guesswork. That whole industry is guesswork. They have two tools at their disposal: observation and patient feedback. And that is it. That's all they have to make their determination. And on top of that, they're always trying to, push whatever drug the rep just came in and gave them, along with like some baker's tickets or a pen set or something. Hey, why don't you try Abilify? It's a new second line medication. You know, they have it like frontline medication, second generation they have all these fancy names. They're all just sleeping pills. They're all sleeping pills that have adverse effects, for which you have to then take other medications. It's like they help each other out. Like, you know, our new medication will make them need Bob's medication. Oh, cool. I'll make sure my medication develops something where, you know, they have to take something from the Sackler family. It's just, you know, it's right there. It's all in front of you. You just have to look at it. This isn't some like crazy conspiracy. They say everything's conspiracy. Conspiracy is simply just a secret plan between two or more people. If this world you live in, you don't think that's possible for a secret plan to exist between two or more people, then Jesus, man, you know, the guy's people away. But yeah, I mean, you'd have to be really naive to think that, you know, that conspiracy is impossible. But this isn't even conspiracy, because most of the things that they like to say conspiracy just means don't talk about this, or they don't want you talking about this. Because none of it is really conspiratorial. It's all out in the open. It's all available to be seen, because they have to show you. It's relevation of the method. They have to show you what they're doing to you, you know, because you have to choose it. It's this weird kind of game they play. But yeah, so I get that question, and I'm always like, I used to make fun of it. Now that these things are happening to people, and they're starting to pick up on this. Hey, how's it going, man? God bless you. And they're starting to pick up on this stuff. They that it makes a lot more. It has a lot more of a makes more sense to me, you know, when I see it and I read it, and I'm just like, oh, okay. They're wondering if you're ascending. They want to know if you're going up the ladder, because that's all it's about, really. It's not about keeping you sane. It's about keeping you right here and looking at the cave wall, and that's it. There's a way out, though. There's a way out, and we're all going to be fine. All of us here, for sure. Don't blame the teacher, blame the school.